Hi, in this video we're going to work on composite functions. So let's have a function f of x equals 3x minus 1. Now, if x is equal to 5, what happens is we substitute that value into the function, and then wherever we see x, we write the value of it. So I'm going to get 14. Now, suppose that instead of a value for x, we have another function defined. So let's say this is g of x. Let's say this is x squared minus 3. What happens if I substitute the function g of x inside f of x? Well, wherever I see x, as in here, I have to write down the function g of x. So that's what I'm going to do. That is going to be now 3. Instead of x, I'm going to write g of x. Yeah? 3g of x minus 1. But I know what g of x is, so I'm going to write down that expression for g of x. So it's going to be 3 times x squared minus 3 minus 1, which will simplify to, let's expand first, 3x squared minus 9 minus 1, which is 3x squared minus 10. So it is possible to substitute an entire function into another function. So when this happens, we call these two functions as composite functions, right? So what happens is, if there are two functions, f and g, right, these are functions, fg and gf are composite functions. Now, fg means that you substitute g into f, right? It's like that as the previous example. And gf is the vice versa, so you substitute f into g, right? Then you just, if you know the expressions, you just go on as we did before. Now let's see some examples. Now two functions f and g are given. There are two types of questions for composite functions. They may ask you to write an expression for fg and gf, the composite functions, or they also may ask you to find the values of some certain given x values, right? So you substitute into those expressions. Okay, let's see how we deal with the first one. Now, fg of x means g inside f. So that's what I'll be doing. I'm going to write down 4 times g of x, because there's x here, right, plus 1. But now I know the expression for g of x. I'm going to write down 4 times x cubed plus 1. So I end up with 4x cubed plus 1. Now, while you're working, you may skip writing this and this. You can directly start with this step. That's totally okay. Now, for gf of x, right, it's going to be g inside f, right? So I'm going to write down f of x cubed, which is 4x plus 1 cubed, right? And then I'm done. And I don't need to expand the brackets and find the expression. This is good because I can do some calculations when x value is known. So that is fine. So you can see that these two expressions are not the same. And generally, fg of x is not the same as gf of x. This is true most of the time. Now, let's find the values. fg of 1, okay, f g of 1 will be, well, my expression is here for fg, so it's going to be 4 times 1 cubed plus 1, which is, so what we have is basically 4 plus 1 or 5, yeah? Right, so again, I mean, you can directly write the substitution step, and then you can jump to the calculation, the answer, right? Now let's calculate GF of 1. Well, we have the expression here, right? So it's going to be 4 times 1 plus 1 cubed. So this means it's 5 cubed, which will give me 125 as the answer. Now for fg of 1 and gf of 1, so for finding the values, there is another way which I will show you now. Now, what happens is, just because the definition of the composition is that you substitute one function into another, right? So fg of 1 will be f and inside it g of 1, right? So you can just go calculate g of 1 by using the expression here. G of 1 is 1 cubed, which is 1. So instead of writing g of 1 here, now I can write down its value. So it's going to be f of 1. Now if I substitute 1 into f, right, it's going to be 4 times 1 plus 1, which will be 5. Again, we find the same answer. Now let's do the second one, right? For the second one, what I'm going to do is I will write down gf of 1, which means inside g we have f of 1. Fine, I can calculate f of 1, right? It's going to be 4 times 1 plus 1, which is 5. Now, I can take this 5 and substitute here instead of f of 1. So I will end up with g of 5, right? Because f of 1 is 5, I write it here. Now, g of 5 will be, just because this is x cubed here, it's going to be 5 cubed, which will be 125. So we, again, find the same answers, but this time we didn't find the expressions for these composite functions, right? So if you're only asked to find the value of those composite functions, not the expressions, you can use this way as well. Right, there are two questions with two parts here, and I want you to solve these questions on your book and submit your answers online. Thanks for watching.